Building a showcase PC is complicated, especially with all the extras that go into creating a real showstopper, but it doesn't have to be. This right here is the Cougar CFV-235 Mesh Vision, a brand new PC case that takes the fuss out of the showcase builds by ticking all of the right boxes right out of the literal box. But this is no one-trick pony. There is one unexpected feature that this case has that could have you doing the unthinkable inside of a fishbowl case. And thanks to Cougar for sponsoring this video, we're gonna give you an overview of how this case makes building display-worthy PCs easy. When it comes to building showcase PCs, there are three things that we all want. We want the end result to be Instagram worthy, we really don't want to take out a loan to make it happen, and of course we want the process to be as easy as possible. But let's be really honest, the chances of getting all three are very slim. So when Cougar approached us with the CFV-235 Mesh Vision, we wondered which of the two we were going to get. And as it turns out, they may have given us all three, but we'll let you be the judge of that. And to help us get to a conclusion, we're going to break down the case design, the features, and whether or not it's even possible to take the fuss out of building a showcase PC. If you couldn't tell by looking at it, this isn't your average showcase PC case. Cougar actually has a name for what they're doing with this design, and it's the actual name of the case itself. The CFV and CFV-235 stands for Central Floating Ventilation. Not only does this suspend the main case chamber by giving it a unique levitating look, this aesthetic feature is actually functional. The gap also provides 270 degrees of access for air to get into the bottom of the chassis. There's also magnetic air filters on both sides of this gap to ensure that dust isn't getting in with the extra air. And because this aims to be a showcase-worthy PC case, it also has an optional LED strip underneath that creates an underglow effect. But the RGB doesn't stop there. The CFV-235 has what are essentially 6 ARGB pre-installed fans. I say essentially because the CFV-235 has two 160mm fans installed in the front, one 120mm fan installed in the case rear, and one of Cougar's Unity 360 fan frames installed at the bottom of the case, which does actually have 3 fans inside of it. It's just a single frame. What's even cooler though is that these front fans are actually connected into the built-in fan and ARGB hub by a set of contact pens, which removes a few extra cables that would otherwise need to be managed. Speaking of that hub, the 6-port fan and RGB hub is on the top front side of the case. Not only is this convenient for running your other fan cables too, or other items like your AIO, but it also gives easy access to the main cable management tie-down channel. And in case you were wondering, the CFV-235 has 38mm of depth in the back for cable management. So whether you're using a standard motherboard or back connect style system, you have plenty of space to work with. The story is also the same with the other side of the chamber too. There's space for bigger GPUs, which is nice, and support for up to a 360mm radiator up top, even with those 160mm fans in the front. But there is one thing here that really sells this as a one-stop shop showcase PC case, and that is the built-in display. This thing is actually pretty impressive. It measures at just over 9 inches and it is a full HD-like resolution with a 60Hz refresh rate. Now this does function more like an AIO display than a monitor, so you aren't going to be playing Doom on it though. But if you want to display system stats, throw your favorite backdrops, video clips, or animated GIFs up there, you can do that through the Cougar LCD editor software. And even with the display down here, the CFV-235 Mesh Vision still has enough room in the lower chamber for a full-size PSU and storage drive base. Now that we have a better idea of what we're looking at, let's go back to the original question. Can a PC case make a showcase building experience easier? Let's take a step back and ask another question. What do you actually need to build a showcase-worthy PC? Obviously, this depends on the person, but here are some basics. For starters, you need an eye-catching platform that draws attention, something that's going to have open sightlines to your components. You'll want things to develop visual interest, things like a display and RGB, of course. And with all of that, you're gonna wanna make sure all of that extra cabling for all of those extra pieces has a place to be neatly tucked out of sight. When we look at the criteria, all of that exists in this case. But what if you try to do that on your own? There are definitely challenges to consider. Things like, for instance, will an aftermarket screen actually fit inside of a case that it wasn't necessarily designed for? Making sure that any fans that you add, they're gonna match the case fans and they're gonna work with any of the controller software you might need. Oh, and of course, making sure that the case itself actually supports all the extra cables for, all of the extras. And all of those extras actually add up. And in most cases, some of that adds up into a PC case that is much larger than the footprint of this one. Now, I want to be clear. You can totally put a showcase PC together yourself, and we have, and that's part of the beauty of basically PC DIY. There are options at just about every skill level, but remember, not everyone is down for the extra challenge, so having an option that takes some of the guesswork and awkward fitment issues out of the build process is a welcome one, especially for newcomers. So looking at all of that, it seems like the CFV-235 Mesh Vision takes the fuss out of finding and fitting together all of the extras out of the box while also providing a really pretty platform. But what about the price? Remember, we want a photo-ready build that's easy to build and that won't break the bank. All in, the CFV Mesh Vision retails for $229. So at face value, it does seem a bit more on the expensive side until you start considering all of the extras like the screen, the fans, the built-in hub, and that extra RGB strip. Now let's say you like the style of the case, but you're not really interested in all the extras. Well, Cougar actually has 4 versions of the case with prices starting as low as $139. But only 2 of these cases can do something that not a lot of showcase PCs dare to attempt. And this is where we come to the twist. This case doesn't rely on needing to use an AIO. Where most showcase PC cases stop at laying a pretty foundation, they're limited by the types of coolers that you can successfully use inside of them. But this version of the CFV-235 trades out a glass front panel for a mesh one, allowing for massive front air intakes with those fans. While you can technically use an air cooler inside of a fishbowl-like case, successful use is a different story. What's really interesting to see though is that in our test, the CFV-235 mesh can be just as performant thermally with an air cooler as it is with an AIO inside. That's not something that a whole lot of showcase PC cases can actually say. And with a growing number of really interesting air coolers on the market, this case opens up a whole different world of possibilities for builders. And as someone who builds a lot of PCs, it's pretty awesome to see this as an option for a showcase build. When we put all of this together and walk through the checklist of easy to build, cost-effective, and visually appealing, the CFV-235 Mesh Vision gives us a vision of what showcase simplicity can look like. Between all of the included features, the screen, fan, hubs, accent RGB, and more, the CFV-235 Mesh Vision provides builders with an easier pathway to getting a display-worthy PC onto their desktops quicker. Add in the option to either use air cooling or liquid cooling, along with the added bonus of having a smaller footprint. There's just a lot to love about this case. But back to the original question, it looks like the answer is no. Building a showcase PC does absolutely not have to be complicated. As we wrap up this overview, we want to say a big thank you to Cougar for sponsoring this video and for letting us check out the CFV-235 Mesh Vision. But as always, we want to know what you think. What was your favorite feature that Cougar included inside of this case? Would you use an air cooler in a showcase build? And if so, which air cooler would you use? And finally, what would you add to the case that makes it the ultimate out-of-the-box showcase platform? Let us know in the comments below. And if you like this video or you learned something, we'd love it if you'd like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. We have a lot more content like this coming right here on Robeytech or Robeytech Live and all of your other favorite social media platforms. And if you have questions or you want to talk about this video, hop onto our Discord server over at discord.gg/Robeytech. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one.